A very good morning and welcome to yet another episode of Small Town Big Stories, where we chronicle the success stories of the people and the events that happen in Belgaum. Today we have a very special guest with us. He is Mr. Jayant Nadiger, who has come from Bangalore to Belgaum today. Now you would say, why is this a big story for Belgaum? That's because Mr. Nadiger is here to woo Belgaum. Actually, he is the Trade Commissioner of Flanders Belgium. Now, Belgium and Belgaum may have a lot of similarities in spelling, in the way we spell our city, but there is much to work together, and that is why Mr. Nadiger is here. As the Trade Commissioner of Flanders region in Belgium, he is the Trade Commissioner whose main work is to promote trade relations between Belgium and India. It could be in several fields, and he has a huge experience in promoting trade between Belgium and India. We are going to talk to Mr. Nadiger and how Belgaum can benefit from this. Very good morning, sir, and welcome to Belgaum.
Good morning.
So from Belgium to Belgaum, although it sounds similar, I know there are a lot of differences in several aspects, but there's tremendous potential between Belgaum and Belgium. So what brings you to Belgaum?
At the outset, thank you very much for hosting me here in the town of the city
Belagavi.
of Belgaum.
Yes.
So a warm thank you for that. At the outset, our responsibility is to bring in, as you rightly said, to bring in the two ecosystems.
Right.
Industrial ecosystem, economic ecosystem, to work together in a cooperative model and to see how we can grow for a win-win model.
Okay.
And I represent the government of Flanders region of Belgium for South of India. And I'm doing this activity for the past, let's say, nearly more than 25 years.
Oh my God. Okay.
So our effort, since within the southern region jurisdiction, I think Belgaum is a very uniquely positioned in terms of the similarity, that the potential to cooperate with Belgium, and more specifically with our Flanders region of Belgium. I'm here to basically to talk to entrepreneurs, the new age entrepreneurs, the old age traditional ecosystem, to see where we can bring them together, to work together, to build new solutions, especially post-pandemic. I think India is playing a major role in the global supply chain. And as part of that, and I think Belgaum is also playing a huge role in that. So we thought we will come and explore with the ecosystem here to see, and that's what brings me here.
Right. So in the changing geopolitical scenario, the world is looking at India as, a major hub in the global south. And so is the government of India and the government of Karnataka, where we are talking, and there's a lot of proactive measures being taken about beyond Bengaluru. And though Belagavi deserves to become a hub, it is already a major engineering hub, education hub, now life sciences and travel and tourism, medical tourism in a big way. What potential do you see for a collaboration between Belgian companies and the industries that are already there in Belgaum?
I think there are several touch points within the ecosystem that Belgaum has to work with. And I think Flanders as a region is having capability in several, let's say, strengths in several sectors. For instance, it could be technologies around food.
Okay, food technology.
Food technologies, it could be, let's say, capital equipment or technologies around food packaging, or right from seed, let's say, at the agricultural level, right up to post-harvest technologies. So we are talking about a huge value chain. In that towards, again, food is one area. The other is smart logistics. I think Flanders is the gateway for Europe for goods movement. So you have 4 major ports within 64-kilometer length of maritime length.
Okay.
You have, port of Antwerp, port of Zeebrugge, port of Ghent, and port of Ostende. These are very, very active ports through which the lot of goods come and move.
So a lot of facilitation happens for movement.
We can also look at smart logistics as one of the things. Say, for instance, the exporters, the engineering exporters from the region can use that to enter the European market.
Okay.
So that's how we could position that. And then we could also look at, as you rightly pointed out, on the life sciences and health segment.
Yeah.
I think Belgium has been a traditionally life sciences and healthcare center for several decades.
Yes.
So I think with that, we can really look at how do we, it could be immunotherapy, it could be diagnostics, it could be stem cells. In that activity, where do we position the ecosystem of Belgium with life sciences and health? Then it could be solution-driven engineering, for instance. There, you have a traditionally aluminum location, Belgium. With that, you have foundry cluster. So I think there is a huge amount of industrial ecosystem. Hydraulics is another area from Belgium where we see, this is the traditional industry which we are seeing. And those industries are evolving and progressing towards juxtapositioning the technology to be part of the global supply chain.
Right.
As you rightly pointed out in the earlier thing, that the geopolitical situation is changing, and thereby India is playing and likely to play a profound role in the global supply chain. And here, the Belgium cluster will certainly add huge amount of value in interacting with similar ecosystems like Flanders by providing the services. When do I play that role? How do I play that role? And that's the role that we play as the representative of the government of Flanders. We provide platform for both the ecosystems to come on board and to discuss either should I do it through an agency or a distributorship or a joint venture or technology transfer or joint research program. It depends on your individual requirements. So there is a huge potential which is possible to be leveraged.
You work directly for the government of Belgium.
That's right.
So
there is a region within Belgium as Flanders. I work for the Flanders government.
Flanders government in Belgium.
It has constituted an organization called as Flanders Investment and Trade. And I'm one of the appointed trade commissioners for India. There are 3 such trade commissioners in India.
So you are for South India.
I'm responsible for South of India, based in Bangalore.
So if an entrepreneur, an industrialist, a manufacturer, or a service provider, an agriculturist, a life sciences person wants to establish trade relations with companies in Belgium, or maybe take some technology from Belgium to India, what would be your role? How would you be a facilitator for these trade relations to develop?
Yeah, I think it's for instance, we need to first understand the product or a service or a technology that one would possess or is working on. It could be at different levels of curves. He may be just in a very nascent stage, or he's in a mid-level of the maturity curve, or he is at a much more than the maturity curve, or that he's trying to look into graduate into a different levels. So we need to have that kind of an understanding with, let's say, suppose you mentioned that there are some players from Belgaum area who wants to reach out to these ecosystems. Fine, they can reach out to me. We will have a one-on-one meeting with them, and then we sit and analyze their objectives. Once their objective is clear, then we will position them based on their objectives. Let's suppose that they want to establish their company to reach out to customers in Europe through Flanders Belgium. We will handhold them to establish their company in Flanders, to reach out to the customers. They may want to have their warehouse, they may want to have their company there, they may want to. So we will give from a governmental perspective, what are the ecosystem requirements? And then help them comply with them to establish a company, to start running their company, to reach the objective that they have set for themselves. We are hand-holding them right through.
right through the legal matters.
Absolutely.
It could be the permissions, it could be, trade agreements with the Belgian companies. In any of these aspects, you could do hand holding.
Yes, we do hand holding, and we sensitize we will help them achieve their objective.
Okay.
It is for them to go ahead and do that, but at the same time, we kind of give fillip to these kind of things.
So things move faster because of your help. Today morning, we are actually at Pai Resort in Belgaum, where you had a meeting with a select few key industry persons from Belgaum, including technology, heavy industries, aerospace, and many more. What do you feel? What pulse do you gather from this small, intimate meeting that you had with the industry representatives?
I think it's such a great meeting that we have had, as you would appreciate, and you were also present in the meeting. The entrepreneurs are excited to hear on the possibilities.
Yes.
I think I always say that it's a hidden treasure.
Right.
And then I think hidden treasure was open to the industrialist.
Yeah.
And then they are now excited to see. I mean, every one of them came back to me and say, I want to reach out to you, have set up the one-to-one meeting with you, either in Belgaum or in Bangalore, and then understand how they wish to proceed. So I think the opportunities are huge. Aspirations to be matched with that, step-by-step approach, without being very pompous about it. I think there is a potential to be reached. There is a way in which we can work together, a way to reach that objective by step-by-step approach.
Several industries and businesses in Belgaum are already dealing with US and Europe, and they are purchasing or they are exporting. How do you see them leveraging this newfound, aha moment? Okay, I can do this with Belgium, and it can open doors to Europe also for me.
Yeah, I think even though, I mean, in the international scene, I have been in the international scene for a little over 3 decades now. I think one thing we all recognize, and I think the entire business community also will agree with me, that no amount of, even though you have, exporting to 50 countries, and then you're trying to enter a 51st country, it's a unique one.
It's different.
It's challenging. So we need to go by case-by-case basis, market-by-market basis, and positioning. Product may be the same, but then the ecosystem is different. The adaptability of that product is different. Now, how do I position my product in a new country? So, given that factor, we play the role of positioning a product or a service or a technology. We need to define the market size. In our case, it will be entire Europe. You enter the European market through Flanders. So you're talking of a huge European market.
So it's like sort of a gateway to a new market.
Exactly. So you are coming through Flanders, which is actually the European Union capital is Brussels, and it is just, you're at the heart of Europe. So Brussels is nothing but, it's Flanders. Flanders is nothing but, so it's part of the 3 regions
in Belgium.
In Belgium.
Right.
So we are talking about a location which is very uniquely positioned at the heart of Europe to address these requirements towards achieving your objective.
In a very nicely done presentation today, you showed several things, the several aspects that are part of Flanders region, including the education institutions, the universities. There are warehouses and there's scope for life sciences. There are too many things that are happening there which hitherto were unknown to Belgaum industries. Are there any stringent regulations and laws where we have to abide by if we have to start business?
I wouldn't call it, there are rules and regulations to be followed, like any market. I mean, I think India has rules and regulations. Every market has, Belgium has rules and regulations. Europe has rules and regulations. So, but it is the openness of the market is important. Now, you need to be welcomed. Now, that is the kind of ecosystem that Flanders has got to offer. Now, suppose if you want to set up a company, you yourself can set up, you yourself can be a director. So if any Indian wants to set up a company there, you would like to control your operations yourself.
Right.
So you yourself can be director. Indians can be directors in a company there. And then you run your business plan the way you would like to do it by leveraging the ecosystem through systems like us. So what we do is we give you the help and handholding to go through the maze of that particular system.
What I meant was the ease of doing business.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, when you're saying that ease of doing business is nothing but you should have the control.
Right.
But that is given by the rule,
Okay.
by the regulation.
Okay.
You can be the director.
Okay.
So we means you decide. There are small little things like, okay, there is a certain minimum amount of, while opening the bank account, you need to put certain amount into the bank and those things, which are there in every ecosystem,
right.
every market.
And they are needed.
Yeah, so these are checks and balances which every ecosystem applies.
Yeah.
So it's such an open ecosystem, economic ecosystem, business ecosystem, where several companies, the taxation is another thing. So it's an optimized taxation system.
Right.
That you see more and more companies coming in all over.
Right.
And then as a business person, what is it that you want to do is to reach your customer, give service to your customer.
Yeah.
How do you reach your customer? You need to have infrastructure.
Right.
So it's one of the excellent infrastructure that you could see. You mentioned about warehouses, excellent warehouses, excellent reaching to your customers. So given that infrastructure is in place, given that the rules and regulations are favorable for my business plan to be implemented, I think there is no other better place than Flanders, Belgium, for me to explore, to reach to my European customers.
Another question I wanted to ask is, you mentioned that you have been here in this role for the past over 2 decades.
3 decades.
3 decades. Oh my God, that's a huge time. What is your experience with Indian companies establishing trade relations in Belgium, and how has the scenario been, especially in South India? What are the key examples you would like to quote who have benefited from these efforts?
I think there is, as I mentioned, the strength of the Flanders region of Belgium is smart logistics, reaching out to customers. So the obvious thing is that those who bring in large amount of redistribution capability requirement, for instance, auto component manufacturers. All the auto component manufacturers from South India is known for manufacturing auto components, including Belgium.
Right.
So we have people from Chennai, you have people from Bangalore, you have people from Coimbatore, you have people from Belgaum, you have people from Hyderabad who produce different applications. It could be crocker assemblies or crankshafts or
powertrain,
different auto components of different sizes of different applications.
Right.
These are taken to in bulk. Containerized cargo, they are taken to a centralized European distribution center based out of Flanders, and they are redistributed through repelletization into different applications to different OEMs, reaching them on time at the time that they require, and then all of this is done through technology-driven logistical process.
So this is some sort of a hub and spoke model where we serve as the spokes and we take them to the hub in Flanders.
Yes, indeed. So I think it's a great value for companies. And then we have many such companies, auto component manufacturers, food processing companies,
life sciences
companies for research.
Right.
See, there are 2 aspects of it. So the industrial ecosystem has to play a role in the global supply chain going forward. And the other one is to leverage the talent.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 major areas how we can establish the relationship between the 2 ecosystems. And that will continue. And sure, way forward in these aspects will reap benefits for both the ecosystems on a win-win model.
Okay. You mentioned about talent. I want to know what would be the scope for talent, for the Belgaum talent. Would it be possible for Belgaum students and Belgaum universities to have some sort of, a tie-up with Belgian universities, a student exchange program, or research centers, something like that?
No, of course, of course. The one of the major aspect which I mentioned about the talent leveraging for the ecosystems especially in Europe, in Flanders, is, let's take for example, in engineering in itself. So in engineering and in manufacturing, now many people are dependent on building the competence centers to up their efficiency levels.
Right.
Now this requires talent.
Right.
Adoptions from a particular way of doing things, and then I have to put up systems which are given by different providers.
Right.
And this is an innovation which is done by talent.
Yeah.
And then the maintenance is also done by the talent.
Right.
So I think there is a clear model there which is established. Similarly, it could be done even in the life sciences segment as well.
Right.
So to build solutions in immunotherapy, diagnostics,
R&D
or
also
R&D
involved,
also.
yeah.
So drug development. So we could really look at talent leveraging across the board towards creating competence centers in the domains that, and Belgium has capability in the health and life sciences segment,
right,
and in the engineering segment. So both, it's a win-win situation.
Right. This is not the first time you have come to Belgaum. You have been here before. You have interacted with Belgaum industries and Belgaum people and foundry cluster. Do you see any change? What has changed in these years? How has Belgaum come up on the global platform? You see some change in the Belgaum ecosystem?
Certainly, I see there is a change in the way in which the approach towards, because there is exposure towards the global realities, I would say. So adoption is the good thing. I mean, I think that's one of the, let's say, characters of the region, I would say. I mean, I hail from Harvard. So similarly, I mean, the regions are similar.
Yes.
So we adopt.
We are resilient.
We are resilient. And then we identify where the potential is there. So I adopt towards the potential.
Right.
So that I see is an evolving process. And then I'm very glad to see that happening in Belgaum area. Although I always see that, anything that adoption that we do is always slow.
You find that?
No. It's not
Anyway.
it's a positive way of looking at it. It's not as a complaint. But no amount of catching up we do is always less, is the point.
Right.
So I think we can always do better. We can always do better is the point that I say.
So as the Trade Commissioner for the entire South India, you must have dealt with industry clusters in Bangalore, in Chennai area, in several other places. What brings you to a Tier 2 city? Although we take pride in saying that Belagavi is a booming industrial city today. So what brings you to a Tier 2 city like Belagavi?
I think that is where the evolution is taking the ecosystem development. Let's say the growth, what is that we are witnessing, the evolution that we are witnessing in India is driven from Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities and the ecosystems. Because the last 2 decades was in the metros.
Right.
Now they are stressed as far as infrastructure is concerned. They are stressed from let's say the migration aspect. So because of the migration, then you have huge stress on the infrastructure.
Right.
I think the only way the policy makers can do is to decongest every of these metros. And then I think that's why it's an obvious thing that things are moving towards the Tier 1 and Tier 2 ecosystems. And from that perspective, I think Belgaum plays a very, very important role.
It's been quite a long time that Belgaum was evolving. It was developing. I think it just got an impetus of late with the smart city project being sanctioned, a lot of flights being sanctioned for Belagavi, but there's still a lot to be done to bring Belagavi to a level which it deserves in terms of education or medical facilities or industries, precision and heavy industries both. the foundries and the life sciences sector which is coming up, as well as the agricultural produce and food processing, if we consider the entire district. So you see that enough efforts are being put in by the government. I know this is something which you may not be able to comment very obviously, but you think the efforts from the government is enough?
Well, I think each ecosystem requires an impetus based on their inherent strengths to be developed further.
Right.
And then if there are any weaknesses or gaps that are identified, they need to be beefed up towards bringing it on board. So I think from that perspective, I think it's heartening to see that all of these sectors that you mentioned are being addressed by the industry themselves, by the policy makers. To what extent, I mean, I think you are the better judge to say, because you are there on a daily basis here. You are able to see the differences much better than people like us who come once in 3 years, 5 years, like that. So I would be happy to play the role of giving the exposure from Flanders side. In fact, from a smart city perspective, Belgium has played a small role in Belgium.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so we were part of the consortium. Belgium component was there in part of this smart city component. So we would be happy to continue to have that engagement with Belgium with regard to, let's say, be it infrastructure development or technology exposure towards building up the capabilities, skill set, life sciences, what you mentioned on those kind of things, several aspects. And I'm happy to play a small little humble role in sensitizing the community, sensitizing, exposing. And from that perspective, I would extend a warm welcome to the association that you introduced today, the VETCA, to visit Flanders, Belgium. I would be happy to extend that invitation in a full flow to come and experience how do you position your offering in the global scene through Flanders, through Belgium. How do I make that happen? What kind I can assimilate, and then myself adopt towards playing a role in the global scene. So would be happy to play that role through the associations that you are introducing. And to
many other associate trade bodies.
So in fact, I'm meeting the, let's say, the foundry cluster in the afternoon.
Today afternoon.
So it's not limited to only one segment. So we are open. We are happy to kind of play the role through any segment can come and then understand from us or work together with us, and then happy to kind of handhold them towards the exposure.
So we had a very fruitful meeting today with Mr. Jayant Nadiger along with some industry representatives today morning at Pai Resort. And it was a very fruitful discussion that happened post the meeting as well, where he presented the several opportunities and the plus points of having business relations with Flanders. I'm sorry. It's up to us, the Belgavi industries, to take up this opportunity and live up to our reputation of being one of the best industrial hubs in this part of Karnataka. Today, Mr. Jayant Nadiger is available at the Foundry Cluster in the afternoon, and we will be sharing on All About Belgavi his email ID. If you own a business, or you are a startup, or you are a technology, life sciences, agriculture, food processing, in the engineering or education business owner, you can very well get in touch with Mr. Jayant Nadiger, who is the Trade Commissioner for the Flanders region of Belgium. And it can open doors to a big market in Europe. And he's somebody who can facilitate this business relations to catch up to the new markets in Europe. And you can connect with him. He's here and he will be available for consultation at his Bangalore office anytime you want. The details will be given on All About Belgavi. We had a very nice discussion with you, sir. I'm sure this is one of the first of the several meetings that we are going to have with Belgavi Industries. As you rightly mentioned, we have evolved. We are now rising to the time and to the occasion. So this is a signing off, Swati Zog, for all of you on Small Town Big Stories. See you at yet another episode where we bring something special which is happening in Belgaum. Thank you so much and have a nice day.
Thank you.